Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself.
See, to me, that was the moment last night. I mean, the whole night was spectacular. I believe it was the best speech the president has ever made. It's been 6 years since he's done a SOTU speech. And there was a lot of really emotional and terrific parts last night. But when he gave those Democrats, those lowlives, those scumbags, sorry, Kellyanne, the opportunity to just pick America over illegals, and not one got up, not one. You know, throughout the night, Liz Warren got up once or twice. Chris Coons got up once or twice. Given the choice to protect Americans or illegals, not one got up. And for me, Kellyanne Conway, the great Kellyanne Conway, that was the moment last night that if you had any doubt how much the Democrats hate this country, there's your answer, right?
You got it, my friend. And by the way, don't worry about my dainty ears. I've heard it all before. I've said it a few times myself. I'm a Jersey girl.
You know, it's funny you say you're a Jersey girl.
Donald Trump for many years.
I know. And the last time you say you're a Jersey girl, the last time you and I hung out, talked, had conversations, because you've been on for a while now, it was at, believe it or not, it was at, oh my God, I just forgot her name. Who's the judge? She's been on the show Sunday mornings now. She works for Pam Bondi. Judge Janine. Yeah, she had a book signing.
Janine.
Yeah, she had a book signing across the street at Smith and Walensky. And you and I talked for about a half hour, and you talked a lot about being from Jersey.
It was so fun. Well, I'm a Jersey girl through and through. Look, last night, the president showed how he's gotten elected again and again, because he is the best messenger. He's got the best message, and it's his delivery. People said to me all week, oh, do we really need to hear from the president? We hear from him every day. Sometimes he talks for 90 minutes. Sometimes he talks under wing. He talks in the Oval. He gives his own impromptu press conference on Air Force One when he's flying somewhere. And the answer is yes, because the State of the Union is about something very precious for Donald Trump. He and the First Lady, Melania Trump, choose and curate who the guests are and how to weave them into his address. His State of the Union is about the rest of us, and it's about those everyday heroes. And I had the privilege, an absolute privilege, being a small group all 4 years in the first term of helping to recommend guests. And then you'd be surprised, Sid Rosenberg, how many people don't make the Secret Service vetting. You think you've got the perfect guest. It's like, whoops.
Yep.
But anyway, to rethink that one. But look, that's what he did last night. Now, contrast that to the Democratic Party. Think about not the ones who were there and refused to stand up for their country and for American citizens over criminal illegal aliens. Think of the Democrats, the 73 who were not in the chamber. That is the modern Democratic Party. They are about protesting, performative politics, and then posting. They live online. Their biggest stars, AOC, lives online. Gavin Newsom now lives online trying to troll the president. And President Trump, everybody say, well, he's online. most of what he does is offline. And when he's elevating these heroes, when he's telling us the stories, when he's making the nexus between his presidency and his policies and what I call the RPI, the real people impact, that's when he shines. He took the words out of my mouth. He's had a number of barn burner speeches in his unbelievable political career, Sid, but last night I felt was one of the best because he made it about the people. He elevated those heroes, and he made us feel hopeful, optimistic, patriotic as we celebrate our 250th birthday. So I heard you mention lots of things. I wanted to say something a little bit different. I was really struck when he elevated Royce, so the Korean warrior who helped us all preserve our freedoms through his military valor in 1952. But he mentions that man is 100 years old and our country is 250 years old.
Yeah.
And the hockey player is 24 years old. You just get this sense we are powerful and mighty and strong as a nation. And thank you to our commander-in-chief, Sid. But we're so young, and every democracy is so fragile. Many of them don't make it much past 250 years. Some of them don't make it to 250 years. So it's just such an important moment. This 2026 is a great year because it includes so many joy pieces for President Trump. The Super Bowl, forget the halftime show. And last night, Alex Padilla doing the response in Spanish. What is going on? But the Super Bowl on his watch, where you saw America 250 all over the stadium at the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Winter Olympics. We've got FIFA and the World Cup coming up. We've got the 25th anniversary, very solemn, of 9/11. We're going to see the president for July 4th and everything before that celebrating. This is the year to really celebrate America's independence and our freedom. And I would love for 350 Americans to feel that way, but you can't even get 212 Democrats to feel that way.
Right.
So you know who we'd be talking about today?
Oh.
If one Democrat, just one, stood up last night, one, they would be a household name today. They don't have the courage to break out of the pack of lemmings they are. They are not independent thinkers and revolutionaries on the Democratic side. They all think alike and talk alike and sit on their hands alike. One Democrat having stood up, you'd be interviewing that person today and saying, thank you so much for putting your party aside and your country first when the president said, do you stand with American citizens who you represent as an American Congress person, or do you sit with illegal aliens?
Unbelievable. And listen, the win I want in 2026, don't get me wrong, I loved all these other things you mentioned. I want to win the midterms. And, I've been very nervous, but I feel better after last night's speech. But, you talk about the Democrats, they're afraid. And I have these conversations with some of my friends who want me to be more of a unifier. I don't want to be. That's it. I hate the Democrats like Trump. I hate them. I don't want to be a unifier. And the truth is, they talk to me about, but no, not all like that. They're all moderates. There's one moderate Democrat left in the country. One. His name is John Fetterman. He wore a suit last night. Yes. God bless him. Otherwise, every one of these people, they do campaign as moderates. They do because they may feel that way. But every one of them ends up being a progressive because they're scared to death. So we need to stop this lie about the moderate Democrat. Kellyanne, they don't exist.
They don't. Well, they did. I grew up with them. I grew up with blue-collar Democrats in South Jersey. All the men in my family were laborers. We knew Democrats, but they were pro-life, pro-Second Amendment. They worked super hard. And they liked the Democrats at the time because they thought the Democrats were for the working people. Democrats voted for tax cuts. They wanted dereg. They wanted some. You couldn't see much of a difference between the parties. There's never been such a bright line distinction between the two parties, and that's because of the Democrats. They're going the way of Mondani. They're going the way of AOC. They're going the way of Bernie and Elizabeth Warren. There are no blue dog Democrats anymore. Why is this important? Because you're not going to see anybody stand up. You're not going to see anybody. They're so protective of Nicolas Maduro. They can't even stand up for the man who was in Maduro's prison, who's being reunited with his niece.
I know.
Because it's Donald Trump who's saying the words.
Right.
They can't stand up for the little girl who almost lost her life to an illegal alien who should not have had a commercial driver's license because it's Donald Trump who's the messenger. But as for unity, I think that the Democrats don't have unity. We do. They have unanimity. And I don't want unanimity because it sucks your political soul. It takes away your independence and your beliefs and your freedom of thought and of expression as a member of Congress. So there's something else going on here. I think what the president did last night is so masterful for the rest of the Republicans up and down the ballot. Yes, they can use the Democrats sitting on their hands and squirming and scowling and in some cases shouting, and the F-ICE button really shouldn't have been able to enter the chamber.
Thank you.
We have school kids sometimes have to go home if they have a MAGA shirt on. Get that dumbass and her F-ICE button out of there. It's no better than Al Green with his cane. In fact, we don't even know anything. That guy doesn't do anything all year. He does one thing every year: protest Trump. But
let me stop you for a second. Are you telling me, Kellyanne Conway, we can't get to the point where the sergeant of arms, because I got thrown out of the State Union 2 years ago, wasn't?
I know. I know you did.
Yeah, for saying "says who," I screamed that. You're going to tell me the sergeant of arms can't stop somebody from walking in with the F word actually written on a button? And why would Al Green, after being ejected 2 years in a row, I don't care where he serves, 2 years in a row, you should not be invited back the next year?
Well, it'd be a great example for our kids to see that there are consequences to your actions and your intentions. And by the way, when you say F-ICE, you're doxing them. You're putting them at risk. We already know what's happening to our law enforcement. It's Donald Trump who more generously resources and more deeply respects them, but the Democratic Party does not. But the president gave a nice blueprint for all the Republican candidates. He used that word affordability, the Sesame Street word of the year. He used it right back in the Democrats and said, you created this crisis.
Yeah,
inflation outpacing wages, regulation, energy dependence, endless wars, and the checks that go with them. He called them out on that. Everything was more expensive under Biden-Harris, and Spanberger's a phony, because if she thought that Biden-Harris and the rest of the Democrats had solved the affordability crisis and that Trump had truly created it, she would have had Biden and Harris campaigning with her. The two women who ran for governor in 2025 did not have the woman vice president who ran as the presidential candidate just short year earlier campaigning with them. No Kamala on the trail with Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey. No Kamala on the trail with Abigail Spanberger. It tells you all you need to know. But look, I thought that the president appealed to our better angels last night. And I have told him, especially after those, terrible election results in November, I texted him and I said, Mr. President, we thrive and succeed when you're in the Oval, and we suffer when you're not on the ballot. And I am worried about the midterms for that reason, too. He's got the connective tissue. He's inimitable to a lot of folks in his electorate that don't turn out in off-year elections, that need to hear from him. I'm so glad he's going out there now, Sid, state by state, district by district, and pressing the case. If you like anything that we've done as a party in this presidency, that we've worked with Congress together, the governors together, if you like any of it, remember, it just stops. Grinding halt immediately if you let the Democrats control any chamber. They're all about investigations, innuendo, insults, impeachment, indictments, and worse for this president. And he proved last night that when you have an optimistic, patriotic message, that when you are showing the world elevating athletic prowess or military valor or just the best of Americans, and you make it about other people and not yourself. Democrats think that causing a scene is the same as taking a stand, and they're beclowning themselves into a permanent minority party.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.